And I was finally showing my work at the fancy New York Film Festival. Every filmmaker's dream. Mom, what do you think?
You do this to hurt me.
I always like to go back and start at the beginning with people and sort of ask, what was your first job in this business? The first time you felt you could call yourself an editor, or the first time you cast something, even if it was, like a friend's short film?
My first job in the industry was at a company that made made-for-TV movies for the Hallmark Channel and Lifetime. A lot of Christmas titles and a lot of girls who work in a bakery and this sort of thing.
Lots of ghosts, too.
Sure.
A lot of those movies have ghosts in them. For you?
For me, I had worked with writer-director John Ridley on a feature, indie of his, and the editor had to step away. And then I had the opportunity to kind of jump in and fill that role while he went off and did some other things. And there was a moment where I was used to being an assistant, and he came over and he asked me something, and I kind of hesitated, I was like, I don't know. And he looked at me and said, "You're all I've got." So I pulled it together and actually gave him my opinion. And then I ended up, he did a TV show soon after and made me an editor.
Wow, so your first editing credit out of the gate is with John Ridley?
Yes, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, here we are with the Persian version, and this film comes to us courtesy of writer-director Meryem Keshavarsz, and it won both the Audience Award and the Waldo Salt Screenwriting Award when it premiered at the Sundance Film Festival earlier this year. But how did the project first come to you?
I had worked with a friend of hers, Jamie Babbitt, and they were moving from cutting in London to LA, and they needed somebody in LA, and she had recommended me. So I met with Meryem. I was very kind of tired and not ready to take on another job, but Meryem's very convincing. She knew what she was doing. She's like, "Come over for coffee." And then she just suddenly, a laptop was in my lap and I was watching her movie. And it was hard to say no after that. So I came on later into the process, and really I had the opportunity to see it as a full film at that point. And, obviously there was more work that needed to be done, but I could see it was already, something really special. Mm-hmm. Abulfaz Toulouni is the editor that really did a bulk of the work on this, and a wonderful job. And he was, very open and fully encouraged, me. It was a nice collaboration sort of after the fact. Yeah.
And Lindsey, for you?
I was brought in to meet Meryem by a producer that I had worked with before, Natalie Kasabian, on a feature film called Searching. And she introduced the two of us. She sent me the script. And what I look for in a script when I want to come on board to cast is, are actors going to want to play these roles? How hard is my job going to be to convince actors to be in this movie? And I would not have to convince a single person to be in this movie. I just thought it was the best script I've ever read. And also Meryem seemed like just the most incredible creative force to have the opportunity to work with. And so I came on board very early just to start looking for the two leads, the mother and the daughter, Leila Mohammadi and Nusha Noor, who I believe belong in the conversation for an Academy Award for this movie. I was blown away by their performances. They did audition for the movie in 2019, but after COVID, we had some delays and didn't end up actually casting anybody until a couple of years later.
Wow. I was thinking when you were saying you wouldn't have to convince any actors to be involved in this project, how rare is it to see, a woman of color lead role so dynamic and complex? And this film has two of them, really kind of four, because you also had to cast the younger versions of them. Did you find, was it a hard film to cast, or did you find people were hungry for this kind of material?
Oh, absolutely. Anybody we asked to audition or consider the film was happy to be considered or to audition, whatever we were asking. I came into casting about maybe 16 years ago at this point, and the industry has changed so much. Every year that goes by, casting a film like this becomes easier and easier. But I believe that because of films like this, because of women of color leads and just such amazing characters on screen, that young people will see themselves reflected in movies like this who never before thought they could become an actor, who never before thought that there ever could be a role for them. And I believe we'll just have more and more options that represent all kinds of backgrounds and cultures and shapes and sizes and orientations in the future. And I really believe that we're headed in the right direction.
Can we talk about sort of where you found, I don't know if you were familiar with the work of your two leads. I mean,
Layla, yes, she's such a breakout in this movie.
Yeah.
I was blown away by her. And she is a hardworking young actress who's been pursuing a career since she was a young teen. She just rose to the occasion every step of the way, as did all of the actors. Nusha as well. We chemistry read them together, and it was just such a fit. And I just think both of them stepped up to the plate and more.
JoAnne, you've worked on such a wide variety of genres and projects that mix comedy with drama, like Only Murders in the Building, which is the best show on TV. How do you sort of find that balance of tones in the editing?
Oftentimes, you feel that sort of tension building in those dramatic scenes, and really an audience is craving a little bit of a release. So sometimes there's a little joke, and it doesn't even have to be that funny. People are like, they just need that release. It's funny, as an editor, we get typecast as well. And so it's nice to be able to jump around and show that you can kind of do everything. And so when a project comes along that has multiple elements, it makes it more exciting because you get to kind of use all those muscles at once.
Have you worked on something before where like characters address the camera directly, or kind of breaking that fourth wall?
Not in this way. We definitely talked about those moments and how to make them feel okay, have them spaced out in a way that you don't forget about it, and also there's not too much of it, and all those things, and then how to play those moments. Miriam's very playful in her filmmaking, and that's one of the things in this film that makes it really fun and young and poppy.
I was thinking about this earlier because casting at the beginning of a film and then editing at the end, you two probably have like the closest collaboration with a writer-director in making a movie at the start and at the end. And I just kind of want to talk about, your collaboration with Miriam, because she has such a singular voice.
You're right. That's a really good observation, that we get to work with the director one-on-one for longer than anyone else as part of the process. And I think that's part of what I love about my job, is being able to connect with someone with such a creative, strong, exciting voice for so long, so closely. It's inspiring.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me too, it's one of my favorite parts. It's having that really close connection and really trying to get into the mind of what they're going for, and hopefully, bringing ideas to the table that they're equally excited about. I was a little concerned going in, this is such a personal story. Is she going to be open to ideas? And ultimately, she would kind of give me a hard time. I'd say, I have something to show you. And she'd be like, no, what is it? And then, gently, I would press play. And and she was really receptive. She's actually a really great collaborator.
Usually ask what the most challenging scene was to cut, but I'm curious for you, what's the one you're most proud of, the one that you spent the most time on, or you just felt like you finally got it right?
One of the big ones, I think, in the end we're ending on them. They have this beautiful moment. You kind of want to stay in that moment a little bit longer. Miriam didn't want to cut to a close-up of anybody in that moment. She wanted to stay in that 3 shot, but the shot was not long enough. Yeah, the shot was not long enough. So we held it as long as we could. We really couldn't slow it down without it looking terrible. So finally, I tried a bunch of different things. I finally thought of still going to black at the same moment, but hearing the mother still speaking. And that's where she says, "My love." And I felt like that gives you just enough time to really settle into that moment and you know, milk it for for every second. Yeah.
I feel like we probably have some actors here, and the casting process is so fascinating. Is there anything you would want an actor to know if they're, you know, lucky enough to meet with you or even audition for you, things that might help them in that room?
When an actor brings themselves to a character and their unique qualities, it creates a specificity that breeds authenticity in the character. You believe it because it's true and it's coming from a place of honesty. And so I would encourage any actor to figure out what uniquely connects them with a character and go with it with confidence.
That's great. I actually want to remind the audience, this movie is in theaters now. So you can, it's playing at the Grove, I believe. So please spread the word. It's such a special film. Thank you so much for being here. And again, congratulations.
Thank you so much.